882.
At 5:25, are you somebody that's used an urgent care clinic, and were you happy with the access and the service? We know that our emergency departments are under the pump. We were talking on Tuesday about the record ramping hours in the months of September. There are urgent care clinics there for you as an alternative. So have you used one? Have you enjoyed it? 133 882. Some GPs, though, are feeling shortchanged, and the Greens want to expand access to general practice care by increasing patients' Medicare rebates for long appointments by 20%. For reaction, the Australian Medical Association's WA president is Dr Michael Page. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ollie.
Is this a good idea from the Greens?
Well, look, partly I'd say there's some good intentions there, and certainly increasing Medicare rebates for general practice is something that is very important. Part of the reason that many GPs won't bulk bill very many patients or at all these days is because Medicare rebates have fallen well behind inflation, and general practitioners just need to keep the lights on somehow, and out-of-pocket payments, out-of-pocket fees for patients has become the only way to do that for many GPs. So increased Medicare rebates is a good thing. Mm. Whether a new network of clinics is going to solve anything is another matter.
Yeah.
We already have a network of general practices around the country which need more funding, more resources. Creating a parallel system of clinics is something that I would see on the face of it as being actually quite wasteful and is likely to be inefficient compared with putting that money into the existing general practice infrastructure.
All right, that's interesting. So you'd be better off putting it into that infrastructure that exists at the moment, and therefore being able to perhaps put that money towards a GP that you might see regularly because they know your history, they're aware of what your medical conditions are, they might be able to bulk bill more more patients versus these urgent care clinics, Michael.
Yeah, look, that's absolutely right, Ollie. And the second thing you've mentioned is urgent care, and of course that has become a part of the primary care landscape. So people with, sprains, strains, fractures and things these days are often skipping the ED waiting queue, which these days can be absolutely enormous, and are going to urgent care clinics. And patients are reporting a high degree of satisfaction with urgent care. We don't yet know whether they truly take pressure off the emergency departments. Yep. I mean, I think if that were true, we wouldn't be seeing, continual record sort of ramping numbers, which indicate that the EDs remain overwhelmed. But nonetheless, they're probably serving a purpose in the community. And as you say, patients, without preempting the question you've asked your listeners, there are certainly patients out there that are quite satisfied with the service they're receiving.
Well, we've received some feedback already throughout the afternoon saying it was great. I was in and out in 45 minutes. Some people having to pay up to about $200. So can it be bulk billed, Michael, at the urgent care clinic, or do you generally get charged somewhere around that $200 mark?
Yeah, and that's the issue, isn't it? It's the delivery of cost-effective care, and I think there's a bigger question here around what primary care really looks like in the future. So by primary care, I mean, what we traditionally think of as general practice care. Now, people have a lot of difficulty getting into their general practitioners. That's given and difficulty accessing emergency departments for minor conditions, and that's what's sort of given rise to these urgent care clinics. As I say, the jury's still out on whether they actually reduce the burden on the emergency department or whether they fragment care that would normally be provided by a GP. So there's undoubtedly going to be a mix of services available to patients in the future. The main thing is that they're of high quality, safe, and deliver value for money for the community, and that's where the work has still to be done. And that's why I think the Greens announcements, while partly welcome, needs a bit more thinking.
Yeah, a little bit more meat on the bone. Dr. Page, thanks for your time.
Anytime, Ollie.
The WA president of the Australian Medical Association.